Welcome back. You're watching The Fix with me, Karima Brown. It's now time to look at the weekend newspapers, and to help me make sense of their headlines is political journalist at eNCA, Sameke Maseko. We're hoping to be joined by Themba Septokele, a media analyst. But let's begin with you. Obvious story heading up the news headlines is the attempt to get the DA back, if you like, by a group of people, two former leaders of the party in particular, Helen Zille, Tony Leon. Now, both you and I have been tracking this, Samkele. This is not unsurprising. I'm interested in the strategy. I thought they were going to split, but they're going back in to get the party. Do you think they'll be able to take it from Musi?
Well, looking at the Sunday Times and their story of Tony Leon being sent with Kotsia, the former ally of Tony Leon, to go basically negotiate with Mmusi Maimane to exit as the DA leader, I think and a split is not inevitably off the cards. I still strongly think that a split either way after the 18th to the 20th of October is looming, whether Helen Zille wins as Federal Executive Chairperson or whether she loses, because effectively if Helen Zille wins as Federal Executive Chairperson, it means Mmusi Maimane's lifespan as DA leader will be short-lived, and a special conference or Congress of the Democratic Alliance is a definite, and it's going to happen.
Talking about that special conference, Mmusi Maimane in one of the papers actually says he wants an early conference. He wants to force this, and he's saying he wants to force this on the floor. And he did this yesterday whilst he was campaigning in black townships, basically issuing a warning to the DA that you've reached your ceiling in terms of minorities. If you want to take power in South Africa, you actually need to be in black communities. Do you think that by bringing the conference forward, Mmusi will be able to flatfoot both Helen Zille as well as Tony Leon and others who think that he's leading them down a path that's going to go nowhere?
He may be able to flat-foot them electorally and with the numbers game inside the Democratic Alliance, because essentially what we are seeing, we are reliving the Nasrec fever of the African National Congress, yes, where the donors and the ordinary rank and file and the members on the ground will be at loggerheads. Yeah. Because what the donors want is a Democratic Alliance that may be of the era of the likes of Tony Leon, Helen Zille. In the words of one DA leader whom I spoke to a few days ago, basically said that the old DA who want their party back has the money. We on the ground don't have the money. For instance, if you look at the Democratic Alliance currently, they are retrenching across the province. They're retrenching at their headquarters. Because why? The funds have dried up. The people who have the funds are those who used to be in power within the Democratic Alliance. And as they say, those who pay the piper tell you what to do. Yeah. So what will happen on the 18th to the 20th of October will determine Mmusi Maimane's fate. If Mmusi Maimane wins through Ethel Trollip, whom them themselves and Helen Zille have their own personal issues dating back to when Maimane came into the fold. And of course Ethel wanting to be the Western Cape leader and she not making him the Western Cape leader. And also Ethel contesting Helen Zille in one of those conferences where Ethel lost. So to them it's a personal battle. But now Mmusi Maimane's faction within the DA is caught between a hard rock and a tight place where basically Mmusi Maimane, they've got the people but they don't have the money. Yes, but also there's Thomas Walters, who comes from their own core, then there's Ethel Trollip. So the emergence of Helen Zille has pretty much united the Mmusi Maimane faction, in which some leaders of the DA in the provinces say it's a case of now choosing the better devil between Ethel and Helen Zille. And it looks like Mmusi Maimane's camp is going to be throwing in their lot with Ethel Trollip. Look, it's obvious that they're going to be backing Ethel. He's been behind Mmusi in a very big way. But there's, of course, the question of who replaces Mmusi. Let's, for example, have a hypothesis that says, Tony Leon succeeds and the funders, in fact, force Mmusi out of his own party and they install someone else. Is Herman Mashaba the automatic man to lead the party, and is he enough of a maverick? Is he enough of a Trump light, if you like, to kind of have the charisma to work in black African townships without alienating white voters, which the DA left and lost to the Freedom Front Plus? Herman Mashaba comes with the baggage of the economic freedom fighters. I don't think the likes of Helen Zille would want to work with the Economic Freedom Fighters. I'm not saying Herman Mashaba is an EFF
so do you
mayor
think that
or
Helen
a
tried to
EFF
preempt
member.
this discussion with a tea invitation to Julius Malema?
Perhaps, you might never know, but what is clear is that if you look at the Institute of Race Relations through the letter that was written,
yes,
it's that Alan Winde,
yeah,
his name is not coming up by any coincidence. Why was Bonginkosi Madikizela blocked out of being the premier of the Western Cape and Alan Winde was chosen? Those are the political questions you've got to ask.
But here's the issue. Will Herman Mashaba not see a bigger opportunity? I mean, he rules now because the EFF is kingmaker. The DA with him doing better, winning back those voters from the Freedom Front Plus, can end up as the kingmakers, which they've done successfully in a lot of municipalities. We've got a municipal election coming up, and they eat up other parties in the municipal elections and also in coalition governments. So will Herman Mashaba be tempted by the Zille offer and walk away from Julius Malema?
It would be an option of whether what Herman Mashaba wants. Where does he see himself in the near future? Does he want to come back after 2021 as the executive mayor of Johannesburg or not? But don't close the door on a person like Ethel Trollip as well, because he is also very ambitious. But then there is a dark horse, which many people are not seeing. The chief whip in the National Assembly for the Democratic Alliance, John Steenhuisen. He wanted to contest James Self in the last Federal Congress in Tshwane Expo Center. He didn't have the necessary numbers, didn't have the backing of his home province, KwaZulu-Natal. So which tells you, even when he came out to bat and to defend Mmusi Maimane in the interview with Vuyo Mvoko, he did not explicitly issue out a veiled warning to the Institute of Race Relations and the individuals and those who may want to turn and bring back their old Democratic Alliance. He is leaving that door open should a gap or a door open for him to become the DA leader.
Talking about Vuyo Mvoko, let's listen to an interview that he did with Helen Zille when she threw her hat in at the 11th hour for the position of federal chair.
I think that it's time for me to put my hat in the ring, and if I am elected, I really want to throw my weight in support of the DA's attempt to consolidate and stabilize its position up till the 2021 election. That is my objective. I think there's a lot I can do to help in a supporting role, not in the leader's role at all, but in a supporting role, and I would like to bring some of my experience to bear on that.
Well, that is, of course, Zille speaking there to Vuyo Mvoko earlier in the week. Now, the City Press headline says, DA headed for a showdown as Zille shocks South Africa. But, I mean, are we really shocked, Samkele?
I don't think it's a shock. I just think it was a matter of timing and a matter of whether they open up their own or new political formation or they do or continue with the fight back within the Democratic Alliance. A fight back was always evident because if you go back just before the national general election, there was that issue of Mmusi Maimane saying your livelihood and your lifespan as the DA leader depends on these elections. Should you drop, should you be stagnant, then a recall of you as the DA leader is imminent. And even before the DA Congress in Tshwane Expo Center, there were those murmurs that Mmusi Maimane's downfall is being planned immediately after this Congress.
Now, I mean, a lot of political leaders suffer consequences if they lose elections, right? And the DA's support did take quite a significant drop. I mean, the Zuma factor wasn't there. Cyril Ramaphosa was, on a winning streak. And, of course, it was inevitable. My point is, sending Helen Zille in to effectively run the internal structures of the party, which is the DA machinery, which is very impressive. I mean, it is as impressive as the ANC machinery used to be, particularly in elections, puts her in the driving seat, right? She brought Mmusi into the party. Do you think that the two of them can have some sort of toenadering and they can kind of work in the best interest of the party? Or do you think that Mmusi Maimane, having chosen to discipline Helen Zille on, the clip around colonialism and all the other tweets that has caused much unhappiness within the black sections of the Democratic Alliance, will be too high a political cost for him? Because after after all, politics are about sets of interests, and Mmusi Maimane could very well end up without a job.
In the words of Patricia de Lille, the cabal has turned on Mmusi Maimane. The umbilical cord has been broken. There's no turning back now. And I think he's gearing himself up for a fight. He's gone back to what many people perceive as the black caucus within the Democratic Alliance. He's got the backings of those whom he may not have had their backing a while back. I know one leader of the Democratic Alliance in one province who backed Patricia de Lille is basically saying, I'm backing you now, Mmusi Maimane, on a matter of principle that I backed Patricia, you didn't see it, we are backing you now. We hope that you now see it, that those whom you have been working with will be and will bring about your downfall. So I think that has been broken, and many sources tell me he's working the ground day in and day night for Ethel Trollip to be elected as Federal Executive Chairperson of the DA?
Well, I think the first hurdle is whether he gets that early Congress that he wants, because that will give us an indication of how strong he is. But let's focus our attention now to the Mail and Guardian. This story refuses to go away. Shivambo's brother hit with VBS legal costs. Now, last week we discussed that Floyd now finally admitted that he, in fact, did get money from VBS, but it was cleaned. And I used the word laundered because it was supposedly clean through a channel. That's not really a business in the way one defines a business. His brother's now hit with the legal costs. Does this damage the EFF in any way, or have they actually been able to be the Teflon guy here? This just doesn't stick. People are tired of this. Nobody's interested.
The voters of the EFF are the ones who may determine whether this hits the EFF or not. I think very few people are actually going and reading and taking interest when it comes to the issues of VBS, when it comes to the EFF. You look at the electoral base and how do they have access to publications such as the Mail and Guardian. I think a certain portion of them within urban areas, those who are particularly within the economic aspects of this country have access to it, but others may not. So I don't think it dents them that all. But also, is it only the EFF involved in VBS?
Exactly. Thank you so much, Samkele. Well, you've had your fix for the week. Take care. See you again next week. Thank you for watching.